Hi and welcome to the channel. Well, as you can see, it is another beautiful day here in Phuket and we are down at Chalong doing the follow-up video to Phuket, our numbers falling. First off, I'd like to thank everyone who posted comments and questions on the original video, be it good or bad. It's always interesting to see people's opinions. After receiving well over 900 questions and comments on the video Phuket, our numbers falling, I thought it was only fair that I should try and do a follow-up video to this where I can answer some of the questions and talk about some of the comments that were mentioned about Phuket and Thailand in general. So on this video we're going to take a second look at all the places that I visited before, with the addition of Kata Noi, which we didn't visit on the first one. Now of course I'm not going to be able to answer every single comment and question, but I will do my best to cover the main ones. It is now Monday the 21st of January 2019 and it is around 11 AM in the morning. So I've now come back down to the Bay of Chalong to allow us to compare the numbers that were there on the original video to the numbers that are currently there today. And as you can see, there are some still here, not all, but there are some. Now of course this might be suggesting that numbers are down, but of course before we do that we need to go and take a little look at Rawai. But before we move over to there, I want to just touch on a comment that a few people mentioned, and that is that why did I do the filming 2 days before an impending cyclone, as this wouldn't give a fair picture of the tourist numbers in Phuket, and I can understand what they were thinking. Now my answer to this is really in two parts. One, the first part is I wanted to get as close to the Christmas period as I could, because in Phuket traditionally around the Christmas period it's known as a busy time of the year. Unfortunately I couldn't get out during the Christmas week to do any filming because I'd got other commitments on, so that didn't allow me to do it. So I wanted to stay as close as I could, so I picked the 4th of January. Yes, there was going to be a cyclone approaching Phuket around that time. However, most people when booking holidays to destinations such as Thailand would normally book their holiday maybe months, if not up to 1 year before they travel. Now of course I realise there are exceptions to this rule, but generally speaking most people do book well ahead and would have no knowledge of a cyclone that was due to hit Phuket. So with this in mind, you would presume that people who have booked to travel to Phuket many months ago would already be here regardless of the impending cyclone. Now we're going to skip over to Rawai and take a little look at what's happening over there. Well, I think it's a slightly different picture over here to Chalong Bay. If we take a look at the original pictures of the boats that were moored up on the 4th of January. And then we look at it today, I think you can see that there are a lot less boats here today. So this is suggesting that there are tourists currently in Phuket and they are going out on the boats to the various islands on the various trips. As you can see, it looks like there is a group of Chinese just in front of me here that's about to load onto one of the boats and go out on one of the trips. And on the last video I touched on about the different types of nationalities now that are currently visiting Phuket. There has clearly been a shift from the more traditional Western traveller that used to visit Phuket over to more nationalities such as the Chinese, Koreans, Japanese. A few people have mentioned Indian tourists, but I'll be honest, I haven't seen that many of these Indian tourists that people are talking about over in Phuket myself. Also Russians, but again I feel the Russians have been coming to Phuket for some time. It's not a new shift, it's more of the Chinese and Asian countries that are shifting now and coming to Phuket. And of course many people have put forward their reasons why they believe there's been a shift away from Western tourists. And some of those reasons put forward include Phuket being very expensive, Phuket being dirty, Phuket having unfriendly locals. Let's first move over to Nai Harn beach and see what's happening over there, and then I can share my feelings on whether I feel the comment that Phuket is expensive is accurate or not. Now partly I agree with this, not entirely but partly. There are some areas in Phuket now that have become very expensive, maybe overpriced, such as Bald&Bored and the clubs down there. Of course, if you're going to visit these type venues, then you're going to be paying premium prices. Now of course the island of Phuket is a lot larger than Bald&Bored or indeed Patong. However, I will say if you are staying in this area, then a little bit of research beforehand or insider knowledge can go a long way in finding cheaper prices. Moving away from Patong and looking at Phuket generally, it can still be very cheap to come on holiday here or even live here, but again it's a matter of doing a bit of research and having a little bit of insider knowledge to find those cheaper prices. Now I think there's many reasons why Thailand has steadily got more expensive over the years. One of those reasons somebody mentioned inflation, and of course Thailand is not exempt from this. In fact, in the last few years we have seen a small increase in VAT. Again, will currencies, exchange rates are going to affect tourists and what they get for their money. Well, as you can see, we are standing just off the beach at Nai Harn. It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining and the beach is looking busy. Now going back to the comment and question about Phuket being too expensive, my honest answer is not necessarily. And it would really pay for anyone travelling out to Phuket to do plenty of research beforehand, not just on accommodation but on restaurants, food and drink, that type of thing, boat trips, island trips, prices. This can really add up during your holiday and save you an awful lot of money, making the experience in Thailand a lot more enjoyable and a lot less expensive. And with this in mind, I don't see any reason why you cannot come to Phuket and have a very affordable holiday. As we're walking along the beach here at Nai Harn, I want to talk about a comment that was referring to Phuket being dirty. Now of course some of the commenters didn't use that particular word, used others which I'm not going to repeat. However, I can't agree with this comment. In all the time I've been coming here on holiday and now living here, I've never found Phuket to be dirty. There is little to none graffiti on the island. Generally speaking, the streets are kept very clean with very minimal litter. The only thing I would say is the island could do with a few more bins to save people putting their rubbish out in black sacks, but apart from this I find the island a very nice and clean place to live. I also know that there are teams of people constantly working around the island, not just on the beaches, on the streets as well, keeping Phuket clean and tidy. Okay, let's move over to Kata Noi now and take a look at what's happening over there. I personally feel that a lot of people don't realise this is actually a public beach, and they think that it is actually private for those hotels lining the beach, and this is mainly due to the public access ways not being clearly marked. To my knowledge there are only two, one at the top of the hill with very steep stairs leading down. Now this first entrance could easily be mistaken for an entrance to a hotel. The second entrance onto the beach is further along the main road. However, this again is set between a shop and a hotel, and of course if you're not familiar with the area you could easily mistake this as a private entrance. Let's move on to a comment now that actually quite surprised me, with people saying that the local people are no longer friendly with the tourist. Now of course I can only comment on my experiences and those of people that I've spoken to in the past, but generally speaking most Thais are very friendly and will go out the way to help people, and during my stay in Thailand I have seen many acts of kindness towards foreign people. Now of course, like many places and nationalities around the world, when visiting Thailand you may meet people that don't particularly want to engage in a conversation with you for whatever reason. Maybe they're having a bad day, etc. But generally speaking, I have always found the Thai people to be very friendly and very helpful. Now, as we're walking along the beach here, I want you to take a look at the sand, as a few people have commented that the beaches in Thailand are dirty, and to be honest, I just don't see it. Okay, let's move over to Kata Beach now, which is roughly 5 minutes away from where we are now on Kata Noi. We are now just a few minutes away from Kata Beach, and as we're coming down the road you can see that there are quite a few motorbikes parked up, which would suggest there are plenty of people within this area. I'm going to park up for just a moment outside the surf house. It's roughly 1 o'clock lunchtime, and this restaurant is opposite Kata Beach. It's quite popular with people taking lunch and practicing their surfing. As we stand here overlooking Kata Beach, as you can see, there's a reasonable amount of tourists on the beach today. We are no longer near the Christmas period, however there seems to be plenty of people about. I just want to quickly mention something I noticed in the comments section, where somebody put they were disappointed that I didn't give any actual figures out for tourist numbers, and there is a very good reason why I didn't do that. Over here it is very difficult to get very accurate numbers, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to quote numbers, opting instead to let people make their own mind up from the video footage. In a moment we're going to move over to Karon Beach, where I will be sharing my feelings on the comments regarding scams and corruption in Thailand. Welcome to Karon Beach, and this is one of the longer beaches that you can find on the island of Phuket. It's not the longest beach, however it is fairly long. Now, I noticed in the comments section that there were quite a few comments of people saying that Thailand has too many scams, and this is one of the reasons why tourists are not visiting Thailand in the numbers they once were. Now, my answer to this, and of course this is my own personal opinion, whilst Thailand does have scammers, Thailand is no different to any other place around the world that has mass tourism or hotspots where tourists visit. You are always going to find people trying to scam other people, and that is a fact. There are plenty of videos online showing the scams in Thailand, and if you are traveling out to Thailand, then you should familiarize yourself with the current scams. And then, should you be approached by somebody you don't know, offering you something that sounds simply too good to be true, then my honest answer is just walk away. Don't allow yourself to get scammed. I also noticed a lot of comments referring to the police as being corrupt and scamming tourists by stopping them and fining them. Now, this comment is simply not accurate whatsoever, and it has always amazed me the amount of tourists that come over to Thailand and simply think that the laws don't apply to them. Now, a perfect example of this, and something I see most days, is a tourist will come over to the island of Phuket. Of course, they're going to want to get around and see the different sites, so they decide to hire a scooter. Now, that person may not have the correct license, or he may not have bought the correct documentations to allow him to do that, but they hire the scooter anyway, and then they proceed to drive around the island not wearing a helmet, not wearing a shirt, and then sooner or later they drive into a police check and are issued with a fine. Now, of course, they have broken the law. The tourist will then go away and complain that the police have scammed them because they have had to pay a fine. This is not a scam, this is called breaking the law. Thailand is no different from any other country. It has laws, and if you break the law, you are going to be penalized for doing so. Okay, let's move over to Patong and see what's happening over there. Well, there looks like there's a reasonable amount of people on the beach today in Patong. Now I have noticed there seems to be a bit of an issue today on the beach with seaweed washing up, and after reading an article that was posted online, it seems like this seaweed has been caused by strong waves and currents out at sea that has brought it into the Patong Bay, of course, and now it is washing up onto the shoreline. However, from what I understand, there is going to be a large cleanup operation taking place over the next few days to clean the beach in Patong of all the seaweed. Now moving on to the comments regarding transport and taxis in Phuket. I'll be honest, I don't want to go into too much detail right now because I'm going to be doing a video that's dedicated to this particular subject, because I know a lot of people are interested in this, about prices, etc., and how they can save money on transport. A lot of people mentioned that tuk-tuks are very expensive, particularly in Patong. Now the fact is they were very cheap form of transport in Thailand, but this was some time ago. Now tuk-tuks have become very expensive, there is no doubt about that. However, I think now people misunderstand about tuk-tuks to a degree. Personally, I love tuk-tuks, especially when I'm in Bangkok. I absolutely love going on the tuk-tuks, not because they're cheap, just for the experience. Now they're slightly different tuk-tuks in Bangkok than what they are in Patong, but the tuk-tuks now is more of a novelty factor rather than a cheap way of getting around the island, shall we say. Over the years, the tuk-tuk has become somewhat of an icon in Thailand, and you often see it on postcards, etc., and things like that. And due to its popularity, obviously the prices are now more expensive if you want to travel by tuk-tuk. Personally, I think one of the big problems with the tuk-tuks at the moment is most of them, to my knowledge, are not metered, which would normally mean sorting out the price with the driver prior to leaving for the destination. Now of course the driver is going to give you a price. Now this price may be open to negotiations, it may not. What you have to remember is that vehicle is that driver's, and if he wants to charge 500 baht, 1000 baht to go 2 minutes down the road, then that is entirely up to the driver. Of course, you know the price. If you want to pay it, that is entirely up to you. If you don't want to pay that price, then you can always look for other means of transport. There are other ways of getting around. One thing I think is very important when using tuk-tuks to go to any destinations, you should agree on the price with the driver prior to entering the tuk-tuk and leaving for the destination. This way you avoid any misunderstandings later. Now as always, I hope you have enjoyed the video, and if so, please remember to give it a like. If you are interested in finding more out about Thailand, then please feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, then please leave them down below in the comments section and I will do my best to answer them. So until next time, thanks for watching and I'll catch you on the next one.